What weapon can be more powerful than guns? What makes people change their mind at the snap of a finger? And what rules the whole world? Propaganda. I'm gonna tell you about its treachery, how politicians use it for a long time and use now, particularly in Russia. I'll give you some advices how to recognize it and defend yourself from it. Let's get started. Propaganda started its journey a long time ago. Just so you know, the mother of propaganda was a special organization, the Congregation for the Propagation of the Faith. Yeah, they needed a professional marketer, a very complicated title. At that time, religion was propaganda. Since then, this weapon has penetrated more into people's lives. The conflict between kings and parliament in England was a historic struggle in which propaganda was involved. Such a political outreach was one of the weapons used in the movement for American independence and during the French Revolution. But the most important meaning of propaganda was during not even the First but the Second World War. And both fascism and communism in this war were the centers of intense revolutionary propaganda. Hitler and Stalin understood that you cannot build something great without history and brainwashing. That's why in Germany was created a Minister of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment. Hitler in his speeches addressed to ordinary people, the majority. Why did Hitler rely on the masses and not on the elite part of society? Be simple, and people will reach out to you. This principle is the main idea of classical propaganda. The masses in most cases are illiterate, politically unexperienced population. They will never seek to analyze what's happening. Masses perceive information on an emotional level, and emotions are easy to manage. Thanks to such a strong propaganda, a significant part of the German population, even in the early spring of 1945, was sure of victory, although in fact it was clear that Germany had already lost. The USSR didn't lag behind in propaganda. It had the so-called Agitprop, or the Department of Agitation and Propaganda. Soviet propaganda during World War II was called the Third Front. Movies and radio played a special role in informing the masses at the most accessible and understandable way to help overcome illiteracy and enlighten the masses. Posters also played an important role. But propaganda methods of Germany and the USSR had much in common. And now let's just compare posters of Nazi Germany and the USSR. They aren't so different, are they? And now let's compare Soviet and the US posters. Propaganda is the same everywhere. It's been 77 years, but nothing has changed for Russia. It's following in the footsteps of the propaganda of its predecessor. The same slogans, the flag, and the totalitarian ruler. Okay, now we understand that in most cases all governments use the same methods to persuade population. Propaganda wears a lot of masks. It can be everywhere, on TV, the internet, and in the street. It can be so treacherous that you don't even understand how you start to follow it. But how can we distinguish it? Now I'm gonna tell you the most popular methods of propaganda. The first mask of propaganda: own people and others. We have the best president, and others have the worst one. Our economy is only developing, while in other countries it's falling down. So, what starts to happen? People are being said how to think and what to do. And it's working, because propagandists control people with the help of human nature. People are lazy. We prefer to hear the answer than look for it. That's why it's better to hear for whom to vote than search information about the candidates. This method was used actively by the USSR, Germany, and America. Communists said that the West rots and socialism flourishes. Hitler said everyone around had lost their national values, and he, in the person of the ruler, will revive the nation. America claims socialism leads to decline, but in the USA, everything's cool. Everyone pulls the blanket to their side, but who's right? You can write your opinion in the comments. The second mask of propaganda: labeling. From people who are under its impact, we can hear something like that. Their president was an actor, so he's a clown and can't run the country. Russia likes this method so much and gladly accuses Ukraine in all its failures that the president is a former actor. But we know about the president of the US, Ronald Reagan. He was an actor, but wasn't the worst president. At the same time, there are many deputies in Russian State of Duma who are singers like Denis Maidanov or actors like Dmitry Pevtsov. I think it's silly to accuse others while you have the same situation. The second favorite methods of Russian government to call all Ukrainians Nazis. But look at these videos and photos and tell who's the real Nazi. Russian government and media likes this labeling method because in this way they just gag people who are not agreed. Why to listen to the arguments and what another person's saying? He's a Nazi, that's all. Just what this piece of popular Russian politics show.
Успокойся! Украине, малому, не сформировавшемуся, неадекватному молодому государству прощают все. На Украине просто какой-то кошмар по всем фронтам.
Не могу тут говорить, а если я что-то два слова скажу, начинают гавкать и...
Гавкать кто начинает? Ну, короче, отсюда уйдите. Уйдите отсюда.
And the most horrible thing that Russians believe in that. The third mask of propaganda I noticed only in Russia. If I'm mistaken, let me know. It's called newspeak, like prohibition is freedom. I'm not joking, just watch.
Запрет как норма права, из которой конструируется закон, и слово должно быть очень четким, которое что-то запрещает. Это и есть самая большая свобода человека. А вам всегда говорят, вот, депутаты только запрещают. Это ложное, совершенно ложное, ошибочное представление. Запрет – это как раз и есть там, где человек свободен. А что такое право? Да это и есть самая большая несвобода. Я вам могу сказать, что чем больше прав у нас будет, тем мы менее свободны. Поэтому чем больше прав, не надо к этому стремиться, к регулированию только правами, тем больше несвободы.
On Russian news you'll hear a clap instead of explosion.
Хлопок бытового газа произошел в жилом доме на Нагорной улице.
Перед катастрофой самолет влетел в тучу, раздался хлопок.
Хлопок раздался на 20-м этаже и серьезно повредил здание.
Хлопок раздался в 7 утра на последнем этаже. Травмы получили 4 человека. Двое, пожилая женщина и 58-летний мужчина погибли. Именно в его квартире на 2-м этаже накануне произошел хлопок бытового газа.
Smoke instead of fire.
В одном из залов кинотеатра произошло задымление.
В одном из флигелей здания МИД задымление.
Боинг уже был на рулежке, когда сработал сигнал о задымлении.
Всех пассажиров высадили из метро. Очевидцы сообщают о задымлении в тоннеле.
And also hard landing instead of air crash. Or my favorite, serious damages of Moscow cruiser. Yeah, really my favorite. Whereas Ukraine has sunk it. And the most popular is special operation instead of war in Ukraine. Propaganda calls unpleasant things other words, like this is not what you're thinking, that's totally different. And the last mask of propaganda that I want to say, censorship. Iron Curtain, isolation from other world. Russia's using it as well. Just look at the list of blocked websites in Russia. And this list grows up every day. How is it working? People see that masses say one thing and there is no different opinion. If it doesn't exist, it means people on TV say right things. Therefore, people unlearn to think. They don't need to. Propaganda can persuade in many ways, but these ones are the most used. Propaganda is so treacherous, but you can defend yourself from it. The first, search the information and check it on your own. Maybe it's a little longer, but you'll be sure about it. The second, don't believe TV or shows. In most cases, they tell what is beneficial for people in power. They play with the masses like they want. Don't become their toy. The third, look at the situation from different sides. Thinking is good for your brain. Thanks to this method, those people who were under the impact of Russian propaganda finally believed that Russia invaded into Ukraine. And the most important, just keep asking, because when everything's clear for you, maybe propaganda is already working. If you like the video, support it with a like. Subscribe to the channel, you'll find here much interesting. Share this video with your friends and click the bell so you don't miss a new portion of brand new world news. If you want a little discussion, that's great. My comments are open for you. I also have a Twitter account. The link is in the description. New posts every day. See you!